Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It is November 19th. Welcome to our workshop meeting. I do not have a president's report. I will move on to the superintendent. Ellen.
Thank you. I will have a much larger report downstairs this evening. I'm happy to say we have a number of recognitions, which will be wonderful. So I just have some information to share this evening. Up here, we have this morning we had preschool playground ceremonies at all 3 elementary schools. It was a beautiful sunny morning in Ocean Township at Ocean Schools. We had great dedication, and the students came out to play and are using this new age-appropriate equipment, and it's a wonderful advancement in what we can offer our preschool age students at each elementary school. So thank you to everyone here who's had a hand in making sure that our district continues to expand our preschool offerings and use the budget, the preschool expansion aid to the best possible use to benefit our students. I think it was really wonderful to see it in action, and thank you for those who could be there. We also had, as you know, just to share, you probably have heard, or I know you have, but community as well, that we did have a power outage this morning at Ocean Township High School. The power went out around 7:20. JCP&L was there probably about 20 minutes later working on it, and we had full power restored by about 8:40. So unfortunately, it was the result of a squirrel on an electrical line. And so unfortunately for the squirrel, but we were able to activate. I want to thank Mrs. Kazuba and her team who quickly worked to create safe spaces in the school. We had some lighting from our generator, and only part of the school was out of power. So any students who were and staff who were in darker areas, we moved them to more well-lit areas, and they worked on a plan to move everyone safely through the building where they needed to be. And luckily the power was back on before we were done really with first block. So that was a lot of good work by a lot of different people, facilities, IT, and the administrative team, and the teachers and the students at OTHS remained calm and handled everything extremely well. So I just want to applaud them for that. In addition, we have some events coming up at the schools this month. In the next couple weeks, we have a financial aid workshop at the high school on November 21st. Our fall drama is beginning later this week. We have an early dismissal next week, Wednesday, November 27th. This is the day before Thanksgiving. December 5th, Wanamassa Winter Wonderland, December 7th, Wayside Carnival, December 7th, and conferences for the elementary schools, December 10th through the 12th. Okay, so they're just a few of the things that are coming up. And then today I did receive an invitation for the board members to come and see the Wayside Shark Tank. So I will pass those along to you, and if you are able to join, please let me know. That is always a fun event where our 4th graders put their best foot forward and show us about their inventions. Yes. So there you go. That concludes my report for the workshop.
Thank you very much. School Business Administrator, Mr. Hastings.
Thank you, Madam President. The district's auditor, Wilcox & Company, is starting to finalize the annual comprehensive financial report for the school year ending June 30, 2024. There's been a change in the deadlines for submitting the audit summary. In years past, December 6th was the day that the information had to be provided to the state. However, they've changed that deadline and moved it back a little bit to January 1st. So that will be met, the deadline will be met, and then in January and or early February, the auditor will come before the board and do a presentation of his audit for last school year. And then the only other item I have is we will be opening bids on Friday here at the central office for the new boilers that are going to be installed at the intermediate school.
Thank you. All right, we will now move on to the action items. Mr. McCarthy,
Yes, Madam President, move to discuss item 6.1. It's up for discussion, no movement. It's just up for discussion.
your questions? All right, we will move on to personnel.
Nothing to
Okay,
consider.
we go down. Financial management and resource services, Mr. Weinstein.
Thank you, Madam President. So for discussion is 8.1 to 8.4. Is there anything you want to bring up, Jeff?
No, we have just some out-of-district placements, and we do have some tuition students coming to us, so that's exciting.
For McKinney-Vento students, I think I asked this previously, the last time came up, who pays for that? Is it the state or is it the sending district?
The sending district.
And so that's the same for all these that are present here today. The sending district is paying the tuition.
Yes, in most cases, yes.
Anyone else have any questions? Finance? All right, we will move on to instruction, education and student activities, Mrs. Gilman.
Yes, items 9.1 through 9.4, Madam President, for discussion, and we will be voting in our regular session.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Mr. McCarthy?
9.3, the Artificial Intelligence Literacy Summit. Can we just get some color on what that entails? If you know, I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, I can.
Is that just like learning how to
I
vet?
have to read the blurb, but I would say that it's probably educators learning how to use artificial intelligence in school.
How to utilize it for our support?
What do you mean for our
Like
support?
to support our staff?
And
what they
or,
do,
and
yeah.
or educate, there are a lot of educational platforms that use AI as well. So how to use it in education
Yeah,
in our field.
Yeah, at the school boards convention, there was a lot of discussions
Yeah.
around how it helps people create
It's
curriculum,
one of
and
the
how it
biggest-
does testing and those kinds of things. So I think it's probably about the implementation of AI products, right?
I would say yes. I'm just trying to bring up the memo itself. But yes, I mean, if we're sending teachers to professional development or administrators to professional development, it's based in education. So how to use it for education.
yeah, okay.
And,
Ms. Gilman?
and Ms. Leahy is a presenter, which we should be very proud of as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure she's going to be educating other educators about the best use for AI.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we will now move on to policy. Ms. Gilman?
Just on that, if I'm not mistaken, this is not her first time presenting at a conference on AI. And some of our other staff members have done so as well. They have been, we are very forward thinking about this and how to use it. And so the training is just additional her presenting, but also just
It's all awesome.
just advancing our
awesome.
learning.
Kudos to her.
That's awesome.
For sure.
Okay,
It's a brave new world.
policy.
Yes, Madam President, we have the second reading of revised new policies and or regulations, and we'll be voting on those downstairs.
Anyone have any questions? All right. We will move on to public relations. Mr. Weinstein?
I guess, I don't know why we're discussing this, because we have, about the lunch program, did they come back with something?
Well, Ms. Weldon and Mr. Hastings met with Sodexo, and I just
okay.
think they just want to report on
Oh,
that.
okay, because I didn't see the
Yeah,
attachment, so I didn't know what
that's
they, great. Caitlin, hold your questions.
So, excuse me, Superintendent Weldon and I met with our district manager from Sodexo and the regional manager from Sodexo earlier this week, yesterday, to discuss what the board has been talking about in terms of the food service program and how we can improve and make that program better and look at more nutritious options and make it healthier for all concerned. In going through various areas of the program, so we are part of the National School Lunch Program. The National School Lunch Program dictates the nutrition requirements of the meals that are served. There's a connection between the USDA, the State Department of Ag, the local food nutrition group in Trenton and the schools themselves and how they administer the programs. The part of that program also includes commodity food. So the district receives about $135,000, $140,000 worth of commodity food. So back in the 30s, when farming was having problems, the government decided to purchase food from farmers to help support them during those times. And that program has continued on ever since. So that food is then offered to districts through the National School Lunch Program to help offset costs and to provide supplemental resources for districts to provide to our students. In looking at some of the data, 15 to 20% of the lunch comes through those programs, through the commodity programs. The allocations are based on the activity of the program, how many lunches we serve. We serve upwards of 250,000 lunches during the school year to our students. So that is a basis for how they allocate and what they allocate to us to utilize. We did look at the California law, the California School Food Safety Act that was passed in the fall that talked about different dyes and banning different dyes and setting new nutritional requirements for their lunch program. And we talked to Sodexo about how we could maybe piggyback off of that program and how we could take what's going on there and incorporate it into our program as well. That program does not go into effect, however, until December of 27. So we can't have Sodexo contact, their division, their region that handles that area and look at those menus and look at who their providers are in terms of food and snacks and such, and then sort of piggyback off that and have us then order according to those menus because those aren't set yet. As we sort of discussed at the last meeting, the criteria, the nutritional requirements are set through the USDA and through the National School Lunch Program and other programs that participate with them. And there was a movement to change and improve the requirements of the program and the additional standards. That's going through sort of a governmental process where there's sort of, they put out a query that this law is going to be passed. They ask for comments, they ask for people to give input, and then they look at the input and make decisions on things that they're going to implement. So again, that's a slow moving process where they look at sodium content, they look at sugar, they look at various dyes, and those sorts of things, and have published over the course of the next 2 and 3 years adjustments they're going to make to the program so that they can reduce sodium intake, they can reduce sugar and those sorts of things over time, and give manufacturers time to catch up with the rules and the requirements in terms of what's then provided to Sodexo through their suppliers. We did talk more locally about the program and about what we're offering here and what tweaks or changes we can make to the menus. All of the meals that are served, breakfast and lunch, are screened by nutritionists that work for Sodexo, and the nutritionists are making sure they meet the standards set forth by the National School Lunch Program. We talked to them about different offerings that we discussed again last week, different cereals that are offered. They can make adjustments to those offerings. We talked about dyes and a red dye, for instance, that was noted in one of the snack offerings and can have that removed from the selection. We also talked to them about production records and keeping track of what sells and what doesn't sell, and looking at the reality of how that impacts us in terms of cost and our relationship with Sodexo, our contractual relationship with Sodexo, in terms of their guarantee for our program to break even at the end of the year. And should we decide to make changes, how that may or may not impact that guarantee. So we can make tweaks around the edges right now because we're in the middle of a contract with them and not impact those guarantees. or depending on what the board comes back with for us, we can make additional requests, and that then may have Sodexo reevaluating the contract and giving us a letter that typically goes out that says, you bid your business to us based on these assumptions, change the assumptions, and therefore we can't honor the agreement that we had to guarantee a break even. We also looked at the different companies that are available to us. Should we go out to RFP? There are 8 state-approved companies that are servicing Monmouth County right now. Most of those are the names that you know and the names that we see when we go down to school boards. Sodexo, Chartwell's, Aramark, Pontonian, companies like those, like Sodexo. So there is no one out there right now offering, a more organic or a different option, let's say.
I think they explained to us, just like we know that we have to choose from approved providers. They have to buy their food from approved vendors, manufacturers that provide the food. I think that was one other
Right.
layer that
We did also talk to them about offering, different options and those sorts of things. And, if we were to go out to RFP and if we changed our criteria to include, more whole foods, more organic foods, those sorts of things, they said they could certainly bid on those sorts of things, and other companies may bid on those sorts of things. However, the cost per meal, could be upwards of $8 to $10. I believe maybe 2 months ago, maybe 3, the board approved the pricing through Sodexo, which is about $4.50, I think it was, dollars, and that was to break even. So again, making these decisions impacts the financial viability of the program and what we need to do in terms of directing funds to support the program and break even.
Mr. Weinstein.
So did you leave it with them that they were going to think about, they were going to come back with some suggestions of menus that might fit the financial part of this, that maybe more to get us better? Is that the one?
Yes, so
Okay.
we talked about different cereal options and looking at alternatives that they could offer that maybe didn't have as much sugar or sodium or those sorts of
So you're
things.
expecting to come back with
So
some.
we looked at the breakfast
suggestions,
menu.
Or you're not expecting them
So,
to come back
I
with
think-
suggestions?
I think we asked them to review all of their menus for Red Guys, anything that was maybe more sugar content than others. In the meeting, the items that they pulled up were all very similar because they have to fit a certain criteria to be, to meet the guidelines. So we focus a little bit more on the Red Guy. So they have not completed that search. They looked through breakfast and provided us with some of the names of cereals that include that, and they felt that they could pull those and not negatively impact our relationship too much. They are going to continue to look through their other lunch items, snack items, and they are going to get back to us on that. They were very receptive, very willing to work with us within the parameters that Mr. Hastings and I laid out last meeting, which was that if the changes that we request may impact the terms of the contract, and then what budgetary implications that may have for us. So within those guidelines, they were absolutely willing to work with us, but knowing that their dietitians do review all of these and everything that they're offering right now does fit the guidelines. My takeaway, and we did also talk, Mrs. Dam did share a company that does a price match on cereals. So we did cereals and snacks, I think it was. So we did share that with them. They're going to look into that to see if that is an approved vendor, if they can purchase from them, what that would cost them. And then again, the second part of that is if we put that out, will that sell or will it not sell, right? Because some families may not choose, some kids may not choose it, some parents may not choose it for their kids. We're not really sure. I think one of the other things we expressed to them was that we are absolutely in a place where we want to be a nutritious district. And so when you're making food selections and you're establishing the menus, within the guidelines and with all of the foods that you get from the commodity program and that are available through the approved vendors, please make the most nutritious choices you can make for our menus. That's what we encourage them to do. That's the mindset we want to be. If there is a Pop-Tart or protein egg bites, I kept saying that. I was hoping that would be an option. Pick the protein egg bites and on the menu that week. And they understood. So they were extremely receptive. I do believe that they will do those things. We are not done with the conversations. I think that they will come back to us with what they find out about the other items that have red dyes. We can talk about if they are not their absolute bestseller and every kid is buying that. I think we'd have to have another conversation because that might impact revenue and we'd have to discuss if that's a direction we want to go in. And if it is, it is. But we have to be prepared for that. We can't just do it. But ultimately, I will tell you that at the end of the day, my feeling is if we truly want to make nutritional change, and I think that we do, I think everyone around this table will say that Pop-Tarts and sugar-loaded yogurt and Trix is not how children should be eating, right? It's not the healthiest options, but it is within the guidelines. So we have this legislative committee. It would be my suggestion that we as a board, you as a board, start to take this to the legislators to move as quickly as California to change the guidelines. Because if we can get the guidelines changed, we can impact school lunches across the state. But if we cannot, then I don't know that we have the budget to sustain the choices that I've been hearing we want.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, and I feel bad about that because I know there's what's right and what's possible. And somewhere in there is where we have to be. But I think we can make some inroads with the relationships that we have with the lawmakers.
That's all set.
Ms. Gilman.
I commend you both for taking that discussion to Sodexo, and it sounds like they're receptive. So whatever changes we can make, whatever tweaks we can make, I think it's a start. My question is about the commodity food. So we're talking about buying food from farmers. That was the origin of that bill, correct?
Yes, so the government buys.
Government buys
to help support
excessive fruits, vegetables. So 15 to 20% of our lunches are made up with those commodity foods that are purchased from
Yes,
farmers.
We buy it at a great
Right.
I'm learning as well. We buy it at a great discount.
Okay, I never knew
But
that.
again, that may not be the foods that, I don't want you to, I
there's-
didn't take away that this was apples and oranges
Oh.
only,
The
right? Like
commodity
this
no,
was,
this is so American cheese is provided. They may say to us, you're entitled to 500 pounds of turkey. How would you like that processed? So at the beginning of the summer, really, a little before then, Sodexo would meet with us and they talk about the menus and look at the menus and how would we like that turkey processed. So you may look at so much as deli turkey that will be sliced for sandwiches. You may look at turkey patties, however you
Wow.
process turkey and chicken and beef and vegetables and potatoes and
It is informative.
So, just to touch on the financials of it, and no one is altering financials of lunches today or at any time in the future at this point, right? But I just want to understand implications. You mentioned a number, Mr. Hastings, of doubling the cost of the lunches. Do we know what that would equate to in a total annual spend? Do we have any idea of a way to back into that number?
you mean the $8 versus the $4?
Right, so
Sure.
you're
So
saying
we-
that at $4 right now, we break even, is that correct?
So at $4 and I'm just estimating here, but
Yeah.
$4.50, let's say, that Sodexo charges us, they're able to guarantee that we break even as a
Right.
program. If you go to $8 or $9 or whatever it is, we can certainly back into what that would mean in terms of a district contribution,
Sounds like $1 million. You said 250,000.
maintain.
250,000 lunches at $4 a lunch. Okay,
Yeah,
there you go. That's, yeah, that's probably,
It's
so it's like it could be up to $1 million cost to achieve like the big, beautiful picture of a fully organic menu.
and they gave that range, when we said, what if we asked you to be completely organic or completely.
And they dropped
you
that
know,
number as like $1 million.
He said we would bid on it, but you could then have a cost of a lunch between the range of $8 to $10. They didn't do math right in front of us.
Right, they give you a
This
back
was
of
a
the napkin. Right,
conversation.
we're talking
But the only,
about
the only thing on the math would be that, not everybody goes for the all totally organic, right? So probably like the average lunch.
But I think when I looked
Well-
at the number of meals served that we claim over the course of the year, and again, back of the napkin, it was $800 and some thousand that we would have to contribute.
Okay, and then just to ensure that I understand the synthesis of the situation, or the program. So we go out to bid. Our bid is solely based on the National Lunch Program. Those are the only standards that we adhere to, or does the state of New Jersey have more restrictive standards that we also have to adhere to within the National Lunch Program? Do we know the answer to that? If not, I can do my own research.
I believe we participate in the National School Lunch Program, which the state of New Jersey also sponsors. I don't believe there are more restrictive requirements put on that program,
So currently, when we go out to an RFP, they just have to adhere to the standards set forth by the federal government, by a department of the federal government.
yes.
Okay.
Now, as a board, you could change the specs. of
Yeah, we
the
could be more
RFP,
restrictive,
Right.
right? Yeah, and the
But
state,
you must.
the state could also choose to be more restrictive, so the legislative liaison committee can discuss that with them.
But
should the
it's a
board desire.
suggestion.
But then we would not qualify for some of these other benefits that we receive through the program.
Can you expand on that? What do you mean? So we wouldn't qualify for like the commodities?
So we may not qualify for the commodities because we wouldn't be a participating entity in their program.
So if you don't participate in the National Lunch Program because you're more, so by being more restrictive, you can't participate in the National Lunch Program?
I believe that's the case, yes. We'll certainly check on these things and let you know.
Kick it,
Yeah.
gotta give the kickback, you know?
That's certainly something we can ask at our meeting, John.
Okay. We'll touch on new business.
Anyone else have any
That was
more
a-
questions?
thank you.
Ms. Stamp?
Thank you guys for talking with them and getting all this information. And I'm gonna make a joke right now, but we should have put it on the goals because we're crushing it right now on this topic. And I appreciate everyone's input, and I think the ball is certainly rolling, and I don't see this, we didn't see this as like a very short issue. We saw this as a long-term issue, and there's always gonna be improvements to be made. But I think our district being concerned about this is going to do wonders for our kids, and every small step matters. And this is a really big step, I think. So thank you guys again, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So.
Thank you. Agreed. Anyone else have anything? Food service? No? Okay. All right. Thank you. With that, we're going to move on to old business. Anyone have old business? McGovern?
I just wanted to let Jeff know, and you know that Mr. Schneider's been on since 7 o'clock. So
Oh,
just so you know for the minutes, and then in case you need to ask him any questions, he's there.
all right. Anyone?
Thank you.
else
Thank
have
you.
any old
I'll
business?
just comment, we did have our district cell phone social media task force meeting yesterday, and that went very well. We are moving forward, right now, things are still going very well, so we're very happy about that. Happy for all the work of all the school teams. We have decided to put the school teams on hold for now because we feel like we've worked through the design of the plan, the implementation of the plan, and now it's sort of maintaining the plan. And the district team will meet again in the spring to assess overall how things have gone and if we need to make any tweaks for next school year. I have also asked the parents now to really pick this up. We feel that the school has taken a giant step forward in changing practices in the schools, but we are asking the PTAs to at least float the idea of the pledges. There's a wait till 8th pledge and also a no social to 16 pledge. And we would like them to just share that out with their membership to see if there's interest or not, because we do believe that this would be even more successful if there was a partnership from school to home on the initiative. So I did want to just share out that committee did.
I know that am I good to speak?
You're good.
I know that the board and the teachers are very big on, the the teachings of the Anxious Generation book, right? And I think it was some really good stuff synthesized in there. I think making the case for the argument to these parents is very important. Is there someone from our district staff who is well versed in this that can talk to why it's so important for young minds to wait till 16 to participate in social media, and most importantly, why it's so important for all of us to do it, right? That if only some of us do it, we lose the momentum that you can gain from that. Is there anybody making that case?
So we've had parent presentations for the last number of years, and we had one this year as well about the dangers of social media and cybersecurity, and about your identity and acknowledging where you may be in a certain location and all the things that make it unsafe. So we have done those things, and if the PTAs want more of that, we can certainly do that, but we can't, they would have to ask for that. And I think we are providing that, but I explained that we are not in the business of telling the parents what to do.
Correct.
Right now we're creating the space, we're asking for it to be an item on the agenda, and we are hoping that the parents will meet and partner with the schools with what the school has done, and now hopefully there'll be a home connection. And I would encourage any parents to attend PTA meetings and express your interest and support of these initiatives.
Mr. Dalton?
Yeah, the program you referenced, I went to the one at the intermediate school.
Mhm.
It was fairly well attended. And some parents were kind of shocked, right, at what they were learning. So I think it was good. And I believe Mr. Amato, because I've seen some of his videos, joked about maybe I need to do a video on this. But I think that that's an important way to reach people now, right? Because we get so many emails and so many things coming at us, sometimes a video from the principal or something. Having done that, it sometimes is an appeal. So maybe things like that, but the people that they brought in were phenomenal. They were awesome, and the parents were asking good questions, and I think it was a great opportunity for parents to hear about all that.
Awesome. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Weinstein.
Yeah, Ms. Wilkes, I apologize. I was called into a meeting.
No
I could not get there.
I knew you would speak about it
Yeah,
if you had been there, so I didn't want to.
I'm sorry about that. But I did reach out to the people on the, what is it, wait till 8? So I did reach out to those people. They do, they do provide you with like a lot of material. I don't know if that was aware of that. They give you a lot of material. I think they'll also have a speaker come out and kind of do some handholding. I think the group originated in Long Island or something like that. And so I linked it in with that person if you wanted me to do something with that.
Yeah, I think I did share some of that information with the PTA presidents, and I can do that again. And if they come back and are looking for more guidance, then I meet with them monthly, so I'll talk to them about it again to see what supports they need to move it forward and offer all of these options.
But the general feeling through the meeting was all positive. People felt good.
Yes.
Did the middle school make any?
The middle school did move to the door hangers with the slots. Again, they did not have the same issues that the high school was having, so I think they feel like the door, I'm sorry?
West Bayou.
No, I think they believe that the kids had their phones in their lockers, most of the time in the past. But they see, since the door hangers, they report that they see many less incidents in hallways and bathrooms and things like that. Because the point is, if it's in the door hanger, you're not leaving class, going to your locker, grabbing your phone before you go to the bathroom. It's here in the room, so.
Good. Great.
Is there any other new business?
New business. The Legislative Liaison Committee is on the calendar with our Assemblywomen and our Senator for January 13th at 3 o'clock. Our plan is to host them here at 163 Monmouth Road. So if there's any specific topics that you would like brought up to them, please send an email to me and we'll bring it up for discussion for that meeting. And we will definitely take down note to bring up our board's position on the nutrition provided to our students and the restrictions that the state of New Jersey can implement for that, and talk about all those
I
things.
guess we wanted just $1 million perpetual grant, right? For health and service.
Boom,
That's
done.
Perpetual.
Problem solved.
In perpetuity.
But yes, so and any other topics that you would like brought up, you can email that to me at any time up to 24 hours prior to the meeting.
Awesome. Anyone else? Okay, at this point, we will move on to public comment on any item. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. Public comment is not a question and answer session. Specific questions can be directed to the administration. The superintendent's contact information is on the podium, and we encourage you to contact her with any questions. Public participation shall be governed by the following rules. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 5 minutes duration. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. And the presiding officer may request any person to leave the meeting when that person does not observe reasonable decorum. Would anyone from the public like to comment on any item at this time? There's no one in the room. Ms. Conway, is there anyone in the queue or downstairs?
Yes, Madam President, there's nobody in the queue, but we do have an in-person commenter in the auditorium, Alex Hayes. Please go ahead.
Hi, Alex Hayes from Oakhurst. Once again, there's no Wi-Fi or guest password here, so I'm wondering what the latest is. I think the superintendent was going to look into maybe we could get public access. When I logged into my own private Wi-Fi here, it said that the Chamber of Commerce has a free guest or has a guest one. Maybe we could, since we give them such a great discount to be housed here in this building, maybe they could give us their Wi-Fi for these buildings, for this building, for public meetings. There's also no agendas, by the way, down here for the work session. There's only agendas for the regular meeting. So maybe we could get some copies of those for the next public meeting. The district enrollment figures still remain hidden from the public access every month. Just asking once again why we hide the public enrollment, district enrollment every month. I see we've been getting quite a few homeless students joining us, and I find that awesome that our district is welcoming to homeless students from other districts. I'm just curious if we have reached out to the Community Hope Fund, and our school board president runs it. Maybe she can shed light on if we're doing anything to help the homeless students, since that is part of the Community Hope Fund's mission. I have a question about the RFP for legal services. I'm just wondering which attorney the new RFP is mentioning. It just says school board attorney, I believe is what it says. So I'm just wondering, who are we seeking a new RFP about? Is it Michael Gross? Is it Lester Taylor? Is it the Special Ed Council? I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the 2 ethics complaints that are against members of this school board. One of them is now obviously in administrative law in court. And then there is also that discrimination, unlawful firing lawsuit that board members and former superintendent Jim Stefangwitz is facing. So I'm just curious if the new RFP for attorneys has anything to do with that. I think I still have some time left. So also, I think my last question is, I think it says a student was going to Allenwood School and we are paying for them, but then we are canceling it tonight unless I have it reversed and somebody from Allenwood is coming here. But I understand we're canceling it, but then that's in the work session, and then in the regular session, y'all are voting to pay for $19,000 to bus a student to Allenwood, is the way I read it. So don't know if those are 2 different students or if that was an error. And then I think my final comment, I'm sorry, I always lie when I say I have one more comment. For under the approval for bills, it always, for the last few months, it says Natalie Tortorello at the top of the page as the school board member committee chairperson. She hasn't been here for a year. Maybe that could be updated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Ms. Conway, is there anyone else?
No, Madam President, there are no further commenters.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to ask the board for a motion to adjourn the workshop.
Second.
All right, see you downstairs.